The cabin lights of Flight 527 glowed softly as passengers settled into their seats. The muted hum of the aircraft engines created a peaceful ambience. Olivia Carter, a decorated U.S. Army sergeant, sat quietly in seat 2A, her uniform crisp, her demeanor composed. The weight of her service rested lightly on her broad shoulders, though the memories of war zones and humanitarian missions flickered in her mind like a distant dream. Just as she was adjusting her seatbelt, a sharp voice cut through the quiet. "This must be some kind of mistake," a man in an expensive navy blue suit grumbled. He stood in the aisle, eyes fixed on Olivia. She looked up, meeting his gaze with an unreadable expression. "Excuse me?" she asked, her voice even. The man scoffed. "You? In first class? That can't be right. I paid top dollar for this seat, and I'm pretty sure they don't just hand them out to, well, I don't know what you are, but you don't belong here." Olivia sighed inwardly. She had encountered arrogance before, but rarely in such an unabashed form. Around them, other passengers stiffened, some looking away, others pretending not to listen. The flight attendant, a young woman named Emily, stepped forward. "Sir, is there a problem?" The businessman, whose name Olivia would later learn was Richard Langley, a high-powered corporate executive, huffed. "Yes, there is. I travel first class all the time, and I expect a certain standard. I don't see why a uniformed soldier should be seated here." Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. "Sir, Sergeant Carter is a paying passenger, just like you. Please take your seat so we can prepare for takeoff." Langley let out a short laugh, shaking his head. "A paying passenger? Do soldiers even make enough to afford first class?" A murmur rippled through the cabin. Olivia remained composed. She had faced worse, far worse, on the battlefield. "I assure you, sir," she said calmly, "I have every right to be here." Richard opened his mouth to argue, but before he could spew another insult, a deep voice interrupted. "Is there a problem here?" The voice belonged to an older man seated across the aisle. His salt and pepper hair was neatly combed, his suit tailored but not flashy. His presence carried a quiet authority. Langley scoffed. "I just find it odd that—" "I don't," the older man cut in. "Sergeant Carter has risked her life for this country. If anyone deserves first-class treatment, it's her." Langley faltered. His face reddened slightly. "That's not the point." "It is the point," the man said firmly. "Do you even know the sacrifices she and her fellow soldiers make? While you enjoy your comfortable boardrooms and business lunches, they are out there, ensuring you have the freedom to enjoy them." A slow clap erupted from somewhere in the cabin. Then another. And another. Langley stiffened. He looked around, realizing that the tide had turned against him. He let out a sharp breath and, with one last glare at Olivia, dropped into his seat. Olivia said nothing. She simply nodded at the older gentleman, her silent gratitude apparent. The flight took off, and the air between them settled into a comfortable silence. As the flight attendants began serving drinks, Langley shifted uncomfortably. He stole a glance at Olivia, who was quietly reading a book. After a long pause, he cleared his throat. "I suppose I owe you an apology." She looked at him, assessing. "You don't owe me anything, sir. Just a little respect for those who serve." Something in her tone, in her unwavering calm, seemed to disarm him. He nodded, his usual arrogance muted. "Fair enough." As the flight continued, Olivia's presence served as a reminder of the resilience, kindness, and quiet strength that so often go unnoticed. And for the first time in a long while, Richard Langley found himself humbled, not by force, not by argument, but by the sheer grace of a soldier who asked for nothing but dignity. By the time the plane landed, Olivia had returned to her book, and Langley had retreated into deep thought. Perhaps, just perhaps, he had learned something that day, about humility, about respect, and about the quiet power of those who serve with honor.